It is another wonderful time on your television on ITV, Independent TV here in Benin City, Edo State, South Nigeria. My name is Evan Sunokogia. The program is African Discourse. On this program, we'll talk about issues on the continent of Africa and, of course, how you can understand them better. Well, we've been following the xenophobic attacks in South Africa for quite some time now. And of course, last week we talked about that when we saw how the Nigerian authority is reacting to, trying to evacuate Nigerian nationals in South Africa. Well, today we're going to be following that because we understand that on Saturday another, tranche of Nigerians were returned back home. So what is the status quo right away in South Africa? That's what we're going to be looking at today on the program African Discourse. And also we're going to be asking the big question, the safety of Africans in South Africa. And of course, that's against a charter that we're going to be reading aloud on this program, because there is an African charter that supports that Africans are free to live in anywhere in the world. So we're going to be looking at all that on the program today, African Discourse. And we're so privileged to have two guests on our program today, incidentally and good enough. They are joining us virtually all the way from South Africa. First and foremost, we have Mr. Frank Onyekwelu, who is the president of Nigerian Citizens Association in South Africa, and he's joining us virtually from South Africa. Mr. Frank, you're welcome to the program African Discourse.
Viewers, good day to you, and thank you so much for having me this afternoon.
Okay. All right, so as the program progresses, we're also going to be having Barrister Smart Owombi, who is the president of Nigerian Union South Africa, and he's also joining us virtually from South Africa. So, Mr. Frank Onyekwelu, what is the status quo right now in South Africa? I mean, talking about the xenophobic attacks, to various nationals of, of the world. What is the status quo?
The atmosphere is still settling down. The presence, the anxiety, the fear is still on ground. The big question is South Africa still safe for Africans that are here? That's the question. Well, if we have to answer that question critically and clearly, we will say yes, it's still safe, because there are many parts of South Africa, and Africans are residing in different parts of South Africa. Those that are working, those that are doctors, nurses, lawyers, that are still contributing and carrying out their day-to-day work and contributing positively to the economy of South Africa. However, we must not undermine the situation that we found ourselves in terms of this xenophobic attack, the insecurity it has created, the fear it has created, the many African migrants that have lost their lives or lost their jobs or businesses, and their goods and families being torn apart as a result of this protest and this, foreigners must go. So that part is still there, and we cannot overemphasize one at the expense of the other. So I can say that yes, it's still a safe country for Africans, but serious concerns has to be looked into from the government perspective, from the community to community perspective, from all the security agencies, Human Rights Commission, and diplomatic ties has to be looked in, because the truth is this: it is not giving South Africa a good position in the international world. It's not giving South Africa a good representation in the African community per se. And we are also still looking forward to see what the AU will, come out with in their next coming meeting, as I was made to understand that this situation has been officially reported to AU, which is the African Union. So hopefully, when that happens, we will be able to hear the position of AU in terms of how South African government has handled this and how they have preserved the security, the dignity of other African migrants that are here in South Africa. But the situation now is that many people are still living from other African countries on day by day. Yesterday, I was watching it on news. The border controls are still busy. People wants to go. Even Nigerians, there are still many Nigerians that still want to go. They keep calling on day by day saying, when is the next registration going to start? When is the next screening going to start? They've made up their mind they want to go. People are selling their properties, their assets, their businesses. They just don't feel safe anymore because, you know, from 2008 till date, we've seen this unrest, this xenophobia attack coming up now and then. So we are not going to say that this is going to be the end of it. In the next 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years latest, another wave will come up again, triggered by one other situation or the other, or even election, and then we are back to the drawing board again. So we will appreciate if there will be a lasting solution on this by the government-to-government ties, diplomatic ties, Human Rights Commission stepping in, African Union stepping in. But if there is not, the truth is that these insurgents will come up again, and then people will start running hectare-scatter again. So that is the position so far. It's important that we put that on record so that we can find a better way forward. Thank you.
Okay. Now, before we start to answer the question whether this time, if the African Union can really come to the situation, because we understand that this is not the first time we're having xenophobic attack in South Africa. I think if I get my records correctly now, this is about the third time. So if African Union, all these other times it has happened, it has not been able to arrest the situation. So the guarantee that it will be able to arrest the situation right now is questionable. Well, that's one question on one side. But quickly, let me come to what most Nigerians back home want to know. Now, does it seem that the Nigerian Authority has not been able to rise to the occasion? What do I mean? I mean, 30th of June deadline was given, while other governments of other nations, came to the aid of their nationals in South Africa. What it appeared to Nigerians at home is that Nigerian Authority, did not actually rise to the situation. How correct is that?
Okay, thank you so much. Let's put this on the record for clarity. The previous attacks and the situations, I'm not sure it get to the point where certain African countries began to report officially to AU. But this recent one took a very different turn, which it was happening from one province to the other, that warranted other African countries, the presidents, the governments to raise alarm and go as far as presenting an official report to the AU. So we are now going to be waiting to hear and to see how AU will address this from government to government point of view, and then maybe see how the diplomatic ties will be renewed or strengthened between these states, member states that are concerned. Now, coming to Nigerian position on the 30th of June deadline, on the 30th of June deadline, you must understand that before this protest start, there have been a situation within the Nigerian community, a concern, a cry for Nigerians to be repatriated. NECASA as an association, as far back as March 2025, we started, with this program with an NGO to help Nigerians who are stranded here to go back home. And when the new consulate general came in, we also confirmed that to her, and she also took it upon herself. So before the protest and before the deadline of 30th of June came, Nigerian community in South Africa had already started making plans to repatriate or to assist many of our nationals that are stranded to go home. Fortunate enough, when the deadline was given, our Nigerian government, with the assistance of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and that of our Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria and our Nigerian consulate in Johannesburg, they came together, and then both myself and Barrister Mark, who are the leaders of the two national umbrella bodies, we come together to say, this is what we need. And the federal government came to answer that call to agree that they will be sending 5 flights. However, possibly some political issues or some technical challenges came in between. After the first flight had evacuated about 268 nationals, there was a bit of a delay. We are not clear about the extent of the delay or what caused the delay, but we are told it's a technical issues and they are trying to fine-tune some of the plannings, and that is what led to the date crossing the 30th. If not, the 5 flights could have evacuated our people before the 30th June deadline. However, the 30th June has come and gone, and our flights, at least 4 out of the 5 arranged flight has taken our people home. We are waiting for the last flight. We want to thank the government for that intervention. We understand it's not easy. It came suddenly. The budget may not be there or the plan may not be there, but for them, for our government back home, the federal government of Nigeria, to rise up to the occasion and then stand up for their nationals is one of the things we appreciate, and we want to encourage. We want to see more of that. For us in the diaspora to know that we matters, our life matters, and our Nigerian government is also giving us that support and backing that at any time a Nigerian is in distress, the Nigerian government is there to stand behind him or her and give the necessary support for their human right dignity and for their constitutional right to be upheld. So we want to say that yes, Nigerian government tried, but a lot more could have been done better, and we still plead as a call that more flights are needed, whether it will come from the government or from our state governors or from our patriotic Nigerians. There are many Nigerians, thousands, that still want to come home. So if we can get a plea for our governors, our patriotic Nigerian individuals can come together, 2-3 people can organize to send a flight, it will do us a lot better. Instead of them dying here in the hands of police through brutality or harassment, or succumbing to the poverty and economic starvation, let us help them get back home alive and safe. They can then reintegrate into our system and start life all over again.
Okay. All right. So good enough this afternoon. We also have another Nigerian in South Africa. Of course, we're talking about Barrister Smart Owobi, who is the President Nigerian Union in South Africa, and he's joining us virtually this afternoon on the program. Barrister Smart, nice to have you on the show, African Discourse.
Thank you for having me on your platform, and thanks to all your listeners and viewers all over the world. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we want to get your insights. I mean, we are talking about the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. It is not the first time, not the second time, and perhaps not even the third time. Now, this particular incident, draws an attention from the whole globe. I mean, the whole world, reactions and counter-reactions, to the extent that the protesting South African gave the 30th June as an ultimatum for all undocumented migrants, other nationals of the world to leave South Africa, and of course Nigerians, were also affected. So, what is the status quo in South Africa today? I mean, we understand that the Nigerian Authority, they've done about 3 evacuations now since the 30th of June was given. So, what is the status quo right now from your own perspective?
Thank you. To allude to the fact that my colleague has spoken about, Reverend Frank, the current status quo is the post 30th of June. What has become the trend is that Africa is still safe, and what is the current situation? I can tell you that people are living in their numbers from South Africa in the exodus. And as we speak currently, Nigeria is about 250 Nigerians stranded currently at the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria. I've shared with you earlier this afternoon the videos of people with their bags. Despite that the 30th of June has come and gone, but the threats, the fears instilled by the anti-migrant group has not been over. It's still fresh in the minds of people. People are still not safe. People, the anxiety, the fears are still hanging out there. The government is doing their best in order to speak and negotiate with these anti-migrant groups. As you know, these anti-migrant groups gave ultimatum to illegal migrants, but now it has, the situation is not only for the illegal immigrants, but also for all foreigners in South Africa, because you can see those who are not constitutionally allowed to demand for documents or papers from foreigners or to do an inspection has usurped and taken over duties of law enforcement, and that can have direct consequences on the government. So currently, South Africa has a lot to do to reclaim and to redeem their image on the international community. And they have to do that as quick as possible because a lot of businesses are shutting down. A lot of investors pulling out their investment. People are scared to do business because of fears that those who are not enforcers are not authorized to do police work or immigration work will show up to their doorsteps and demand documentations, which they are not allowed to do. And so far, the police, as well as those entrusted with such powers, has not done anything to bring these criminal elements to book. And that has been the current situation, and that has been the fears of many. That's why the 30th of June has come and gone. But the question is, what is South Africa as an institution is doing to ensure that criminal elements does not take over the duty of elected government?
Okay. All right. So let's go back to Mr. Frank Onyekwelu now, because we need to get the exact situation back home. Lots of Nigerians are so eager; they really want to know what is going on. Now, how correct is it that some Nigerians are stranded in the Nigerian embassy in South Africa? I mean, going by what your partner, the barrister, will be said there, because the impression that we are getting back home is that Nigerian authority has been rising to the occasion. I mean, evacuating Nigerians from South Africa. But on the contrary, there are some, beliefs to want to believe that maybe we're trying to make up the story here. So, what is the truth? Is it true that some Nigerians are stranded right now in a Nigerian embassy in South Africa?
If I want to put it correct or straight, I wouldn't say they are stranded in Nigerian embassy because they are not having any issue or fight with Nigerian embassy. However, they are stranded in South Africa, and they have gathered at our Nigerian embassy, soliciting for assistance to be lifted back home. Now, when this the process of registration and screening started, we had quite a number of people who registered, and then some did not take that initial step, knowing that Nigerian syndrome. Some did not believe that a Nigerian government would send actually 5 flights. So when the first flight arrived, and then the second flight came, the third flight came, more people see more reason to go, especially as the attacks and the protest intensifies. It becomes unsafe for children going to school as African or Nigerians, because they are being attacked at school, they are being called names, the elements of xenophobia is being expressed on them. Now, some of them in their workplace, they are being marginalized. They are being called kwere, a foreigner. You must go. Why are you still here? So some of these people, after seeing what is going on and not understanding how it will turn out, they end up requesting to go. So the group of people that are, arriving at our embassy, they are people that possibly might have, registered lately or come to the occasion lately. I don't know if you're following me. They are requesting to be evacuated, but unfortunately the screening has ended, which we have put an appeal to our government, to our state governors, to see if they can extend the registration and accommodate more people after the 5th flight has been lifted our people back home. So currently we have some group of people, some of them arriving from far distance province, which we are concerned about their well-being, their safety, their welfare, and unfortunately that is the situation. They are there in the front of our embassy requesting for assistance, pleading for welfare. So we also want to plead with our Nigerian embassy in South Africa, if they can at least gather together, provide a community place, a welfare hall where they can stay, because it's not giving our country also a good image if they are camping outside our embassy like that. Some of them are sleeping there outside in the cold, and we are in our winter season, so you can imagine how unsafe it is. They could be robbed, they could be attacked, and that is the situation that we're currently saying. We are pleading, as community-based organization, we have been assisting the government, our embassies and consulate, providing food, hygienic things, some assistance as much as we can. We're also calling us on our Nigerian patriotics that are here in South Africa. They are trying. Many associations, Igbo community, the Yoruba community, the Nigerian state unions, they are all trying to support in one way or the other, but a lot can still be done.
Now, Mr. Onyekulu, when you say that you people are pleading, does it suggest that you probably don't, I don't want to use your organization now, the NICASA organization, but does it suggest in any way that the Nigerian High Commission on Diaspora Issues in South Africa, are they not aware that Nigerians are stranded?
That's the challenge. They are aware and they can see, because the acting high commissioner is there. But I don't really want to go into this, but the way that the whole thing is being handled is like it's a secret thing, something that's not supposed to be made public. When a list comes out, when a name is out, we throw it open. You work with community leaders in order to reach out to a broader Nigerian. So some people are responding as to when they hear the information. The embassy is there, but let me give credit to our Nigerian consulate, the ambassador at our Nigerian consulate, Ambassador Nene Ekanwa Okeuche. She has really done very well. I can say this on record. The way she has reached out to the Nigerian community leaders, reached out to all the provincial leaders, reached out, creating a WhatsApp group, calling all Nigerians, because Nigerians are scattered all over South Africa in the entire 9 provinces. And many of them don't even know Pretoria. They've never been to Johannesburg. So you can imagine how difficult and challenging it will be for somebody who is in Northern Cape, like 7 hours away from Pretoria, and then coming with his bags, hoping that if he gets to Nigerian embassy, he will be given some assistance to find a place to sleep and wait for the evacuation. And you're getting there, the security is telling you cannot enter the embassy. You are stranded at the embassy, which is your last hope, where you can run in and get shelter and be safe while attention is given to your situation. So that is why we are pleading, because our embassy in Pretoria needs to do more. Working together with Johannesburg Consulate, at least provide a safe shelter, even if it is not at the High Commission there. There are community halls, there are welfare places that they can be provided to go and camp or remain there temporarily while arrangements can be made for their evacuation.
Well, I don't know. I'm just kind of taken aback on this now. Now, Barrister will be Now, I don't know whether you have something to add to the situation that some Nigerians are stranded in their embassy. I mean, when you talk about your embassy, even if it's a foreign land, that is supposed to be your first home. I mean, if you are stranded, if security operatives will not allow you into your embassy, I think that calls for concerns. Barrister Wobi, you want to talk on this too?
Put it on in a proper perspective. There are three categories of persons that are stranded, because I did interface with them this morning. I drove past the scene. I wish you could have played the video, and you will understand better the circumstances of these people that are stranded. We have women and children. We have the elderly. We have the sick amongst them that were actually left just at the door of our embassy instead of accommodating them. And you can see these categories of people, as my colleague has tried to allude, some of them have registered. They are part of the fifth evacuation plan. As you remember, the federal government promised 5 flight evacuation at the beginning. 4th of those flights has come and lifted Nigerians. It is on record to also give credit to the federal government for what they've done so far, but we say more still need to be done. The 4th flight that came and evacuated people, the federal government has evacuated about 1,085 people. And I think we should give kudos to them for what they have done so far. But however, just as my colleague is pleading, the seal at the front of the High Commission is that of a humanitarian crisis. People have been made refugee in front of the Nigerian embassy, and that cannot be allowed. People can die as a result of it's like winter, not just the kind of cold that you get in Nigeria. This cold where you have ice, dropping on people, and they are not accommodated at the Nigerian house, or alternative accommodations are not done for them. So we are calling on the Nigerian government, we are calling on the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we are calling on the Permanent Secretary, and we are calling on the state, all the state actors to come to the aid of Nigerians in South Africa, those that are currently stranded. There are those who have registered, but they have not been evacuated. There are those who also want to leave, to voluntarily repatriate themselves, who has bought flight ticket. You see, there's something that we're not getting out there to the media. If you manage to get your own ticket and you want to leave, for the fact that your status has expired, you will get arrested at the airport. And this is what we want to call on our Minister of Foreign Affairs to deal diplomatically with the South African Foreign Minister to allow our people, those who has purchased their ticket and wants to leave, they should not be arrested and detained and kept in jail when they approach the airport. So there are different categories of people that are currently stranded. And when we say stranded, they don't have homes to return to, because they've been threatened by the locals not to return to those homes. You see, they've been made destitute. So that is the current situation. And we're calling on also the state governors in Nigeria to assist the federal government. We want to also thank the governor of Edo State. We have been informed of his kind gesture of what he has done to those of Edos that are returning back to Nigeria. So we want to tell him that we appreciate him as a union of what he has done. And we want also other governors of states to identify with their people that have been evacuated back to Nigeria and give them a kind of a soft landing for them to start, because these people has left all they have acquired in the country and now returning back home empty-handed. So those are pleased, and we appreciate those who have done. Also, Imo State Governor Okuzodima has done wonderfully well by giving the Imo indigenous that are returning back to Nigeria 1 million naira each. So people should, other governors should key into this and assist our people.
we have to pause you now. We quickly have to go for a short break. The program is African Discourse. Please, we'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
The Esama of Benin Kingdom thanked the new Edion for visiting him and advised them to always abide by the rules and regulations of their new positions. The Esama urged them to indulge in what will continue to bring development and progress to the community.
When I say it's your job, I wait to us and I know what I will.
Yes, Papa.
The Caliban was in a cocono, that we said. Who paid you? Who paid you?
Baba.
Echo one as ever. Ever here, not the letter did we ask about my former. I will wait in it. A joke. Eh, Jonah will. Eh, Jonah Pulu, eh, Jonah Nuria, why you go back. But John Way, Gathered in and I had the way. Why we are there when I'm no matter of
ITV, certainly the best.
All right, thank you so much. The program is still African Discourse on independent television, and we most appreciate the time, mostly appreciate the time that you spend with us on this program every Monday afternoon, and of course the time you're spending with us right now. Now we're handling a very interesting issue here today, talking about the xenophobic attack in South Africa, and of course the plight of Nigerians and the plight of other Africans right away in South Africa. Is South Africa still safe for any African origin, any African national to stay in South Africa? Well, against the backdrop of that, there is actually a charter. We're trying to look at that a while ago. The charter that supports that any African can stay anywhere in the world. We were trying to look at that as the program was, the program started. The one that has to talk about African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and it is also called the Banjul Charter of 1981. As a matter of fact, we understand that that charter has about 12 articles, And some of the articles are that every individual should have the right of freedom of movements and residence within the borders of a state. Then also, provided they abide by the law. Then an article of that charter also supports the fact that every individual should have the right to leave any country, including their own, and to return to their country. And that is, where we have found ourselves. So these Nigerians in South Africa, I mean, it is not anything illegal, because we understand that even if the South African Authority is trying to support their arguments that they are staying there illegally, we understand that the South African immigration law also supports the fact that even if you overstay your visa, then of course you can apply to adjust your immigration status. And that is the plight of most Nigerians, most Africans in South Africa today. Most of them are going through, trying to adjust their immigration status, and hence they are caught in a web of xenophobic attacks in South Africa. And that's the situation right now. Well, we still have our guest on the program this afternoon, two very eminent personalities join us virtually this afternoon, all the way from South Africa. And these guys, when it comes to issues of development in South Africa and in Nigeria, they've always been there. And one more time, we have Frank Onyekwilu, who is the president of Nigerian Citizens Association in South Africa, who is joining us virtually. And also to Barrister Smart Owobi, the president of Nigerian Union South Africa, is also joining us virtually from South Africa. Now, we apologize because somehow, somewhere along the program earlier on, we saw some, kind of mixture of names and designations. So we have Frank Onyekwilu. He's the president of Nigerian Citizens Association in South Africa, and the acronym of that association is NICASA. And while we have Barrister Smart Owobi, who is the president of Nigerian Union South Africa. These two gentlemen are joining us virtually. So let's return back to Barrister Smart Owobi now, who was trying to explain the situation there, calling on state governors. And I heard him when he talked about Hope Uzodinma. He talked about, a governor in the eastern states, how he has also come up to support the evacuation procedure in South Africa. So, Barrister Smart Owobi, can you continue that quickly?
Okay, thank you. Just let me take a swipe at the Banjul Convention of 1981. You see, African, the OAU, the AU currently, as you know, despite that Ghana has reported this incident to AU, now the question that remains is, does AU have what it takes to bring South Africa to account for the injustice that be meted against African migrants? Because, we usually refer this as xenophobia. To me, it is Afrophobia. You see, why it is Afrophobia is that these attacks are majorly against people of the same color. Africans of the same descent with South Africans, so not people of the other color. So to me, xenophobia is a larger term given to people not wanting people in their country. But when those people specifically singled out a group of people based on where they come from, I think the better term should be that of Afrophobia. Now, coming back to our stranded Nigerians, so I was given the context and perspective of the different categories of people that were stranded. But while I was doing that, I was actually trying to at least give kudos and honor to those who that deserves them. Initially, I started by saying thank you to the federal government, thank you to our president, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, because at the beginning of this reoccurrence of the anti-migrant group chasing African migrants from South Africa, President made a call through the foreign ministry to say that all Nigerians he made a promise to Nigerians in South Africa to say he will ensure that all Nigerians that are in South Africa that are willing, voluntarily want to return back to Nigeria, that the federal government will ensure that they are returned back to Nigeria. And in that regard, they did make provision for 5 planes at that point in time. And as I put it on record, only 4 of those planes has come. And even if the 5th flight should come, it would not be enough to take all the stranded Nigerians that are in South Africa. So what am I saying in effect is that we want to thank the federal government for what they've done so far. And we are still in the same vein, communicating to them, pleading with them that there are still yet more job to be done, that Nigerians are still stranded in South Africa. And there are also categories, those who want to self-deport themselves, not through the federal government assisted evacuation. Those ones who need what we call emergency traveling certificate from the missions. So we want to call on the Nigerian High Commission and their counterparts to ensure that these emergency traveling certificates are issued to those who want to purchase their own flight ticket. And also, one of the hurdles, if you are going to self-deport yourself, is that these categories of people might be arrested at the airport for overstaying their visa duration. And they have violated the immigration laws of South Africa for not having a current status to be in the country. And that is a crime in terms of Section 491A of the Immigration Act. As you know, I'm also not just a barrister, I'm a practicing lawyer as well as immigration lawyer. So basically, on a daily basis, we get calls of people that have been arrested at the point of exit in South Africa. So we want our embassies to look into this issue to ensure a smooth exit of our people who are not part of the federal government evacuation plan, for them to be able to leave South Africa without being arrested and sent to jail for violating immigration laws. So as you've said, what South Africa is doing currently totally is against the charter, the Banjul Charter, that people can move freely within African continent and respect those laws of this host country. So basically, what we are saying is, in summary, that governors of states, Governor Monday, on the other hand, I got the proper information that he has started through the diaspora's representatives in Nigeria, representing the diaspora, receiving the indigents of those that are part of the evacuation. So what we are asking them is that they should try and give these people a kind of soft landing, even if it's a token for them to start life afresh. They are frustrated. They are people who are running from a crisis zone. So they should at least be welcomed and be reintegrated to society in a dignified manner.
Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Franco Yenkwilu, we have talked about the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, the one that has to do with the Banjul Charter of 1981. And we even highlighted some of the scope of the Charter. Now, it also supports the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That's Article 13, the one that has to guarantee freedom of movement and residence. Now, let us talk about, because it appears from the look of things that these xenophobic protesters in South Africa, are they particular in any way about Nigerian migrants in South Africa? I mean, what do you make of a situation whereby some Nigerians want to self-deport themselves? I mean, they are tired of the situation in South Africa. They want to come home voluntarily. I mean, irrespective of the federal government's arrangements to bring them back home. And there they are. They get to the point of exits from South Africa at the airport, and they are arrested. I mean, it looks as if that maybe these xenophobic protesters in South Africa, they are particular about Nigerians. Don't you think so?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Well, the truth is that Nigeria is a strong country. Nigerians all over the world, no matter where they are, no matter the situation, because of our hard work nature, zealousness, the never die attitude and mindset, they're always a threat. That I can agree with. They always want to succeed, work so hard, push. They can start with nothing and then end up rising to the peak. And so in South Africa here, I can confidently say that if there is a list of African migrants that South Africans are not happy with to leave their country, Nigeria is on number 1 on that list. And you can tell with the way the Nigerian name comes up in their mouth every now and then. Even when another African migrant commits a crime or does something, the first country to call is Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Only for them to do investigation and realize that the person in question is not even a Nigerian. And they don't come back to reiterate that statement or to apologize to Nigeria. They just let it be like that. We have, stood up against that time without number. We have challenged that both in the media and in the public space. Because every time some crime are committed in South Africa, the hate with which they jump and pounce on Nigerian is a Nigerian. He must be a Nigerian. There was even a video where they were interrogating a man, telling him, leave our country. We know you are a Nigerian. Just go back to Nigeria. And the man boldly said to them on a television camera, I am not a Nigerian. I am a Mozambique. I'm a Mozambican. And I came here legally and I'm doing my business. They could not say, oh, sorry, to Nigerians, we mistakenly, call you names here. They still continue to attack the man as if, say, no, you are a Nigerian, we know you are just hiding. So that hatred. But in my little research, I've realized the success and the welfare of Africa is hanging on the cooperation of Nigeria and South Africa. These two nations are sitting at a pivotal, position in the African transformation and success. I have said this in a conference where I was presenting a speech. I said, look at the map of Africa. Turn it around in a way, bend it in a way. It will look like a gun. South Africa is sitting at the nozzle. Nigeria is sitting at the trigger. I bet you have not seen it that way before.
I think I can imagine what you are saying.
So now you realize that the bullet that will shoot Africa into the entire universe
is Nigeria.
Nigeria has to trigger it, and then South Africa will direct it. So that trying to rise, compare each other, trying to who is stronger, who is bigger, who is a giant, who is this, is there, and it has caused a lot of hate for our people. And that is why in South Africa, anywhere, Nigerians are first suspect. As much as we have tried to bring to the light the good work Nigerians are doing here, the Nigerian doctors, the Nigerian lawyers, the Nigerian students, the medical students, the PhD students doing research, and the South African government is using it for their further development. The Nigerian midwives, the businessmen, the money that they bring in legit, the workers, the entrepreneurs, the civil servants. We cannot name them all, but still, they will not acknowledge that. So we have come to love ourselves for who we are, and we do our best to be on the safe side of the law and continue to urge our nationals to remain law-abiding and not confront them. However, I am not seeing that hate stopping anytime soon, especially when it's been carried out by the minority locals that refuse to change their mindset and understand that there is a bigger goal, there is a bigger dream for Africans to achieve. If South Africa and Nigeria and other big African countries can come together, we cannot achieve the African unity if Africans cannot be free in Africa, cannot move to free in Africa, cannot trade freely in Africa. It's a lot to be done.
Okay. Now, commencing our descent now, let's go over to Barrister Wobi now. Barrister Wobi, with all these developments going on, do you think that South Africa is still a safe place for other Africans to stay in or to live in? Do you think so?
Okay, this question will be related. Some places are safe, like upmarket areas, white suburbs, but not every place is safe in South Africa. There are hot zones, there are crisis cleared zones. I would say if South African government will step to the occasion squarely and address the matter, they will redeem the image of South Africa. Just to touch on what my colleague has said about the right between Nigeria and South Africa. You know, one of the issues is that Nigerians have been accused of being taking South African women. You know, I think we cannot shy away in discussing that we better care of their women than them. This has been in the public domain, and it's one of the reasons, you know, underground that is fueling a particular hate on Nigerians. And also, we cannot apologize to that Nigerians are resilient, they're risk takers, and they're society, they try to stand out in all walks of life. And what we can say is that there is more to be achieved between Nigeria and South Africa. Currently, there's a diplomatic role, there's a diplomatic relations has been tainted because of this current happening. And I think the whole nation can go on a team and with questions of what is happening, and the report that we are going to be seeing at the end of this whole ordeal from our union, that our government should carefully discuss the impasse as well as the consequences of what the South African locals are doing as a result of this.
All right, now, Mr. Franco Yekwelu, let's also get your statement on the question whether if South Africa is still a safe place for other Africans to live in. Quickly, so wrap up, quickly. Mr. Frank?
Without a serious concern. It is still safe, but the concerns must be addressed. You know, safety today depends largely on where you live. You know, there are people that are living in some areas or suburbs that are largely, you know, populated by whites. They don't go to those areas to carry out these protests and these attacks. They basically go to areas that are largely dominated by blacks, and then these blacks are African blacks. That is where. And also, it's also about the areas where the police authorities respond to threats in a quick manner.
Okay. All right. So we have to pause you now because of our time factor. Like what I said a while ago, that this program is time bound. I want to say a very big thank you most sincerely. We appreciate you, Mr. Franco Yekwelu, who is the president of Nigerian Citizens Association in South Africa, and he has joined us this afternoon all the way from South Africa. Also, Barrister Smart Awobi, the president of Nigerian Union in South Africa, who has also joined us from South Africa. Now we've heard from these two horses, I mean the horses mouth now, the true situation in South Africa. So we'll bet the program here today so that we can have time for another edition of to come your way on this same television, same time next week. My name is Evans Unohogi. Good afternoon. This is ITV.
Certainly the best.